My parents invited my ex to live with them, then demanded I pay his rent. The invoice arrived attached to an email with the subject line family obligations. $2,000 for October's rent, utilities included. The tenant, Marcus Reed, my ex-husband. The landlords, my parents. The location, their basement apartment, the same one I'd lived in after college while saving for my own place. His family. You owe him support, my mother's voicemail explained, as if charging me rent for my ex-husband's accommodation was perfectly reasonable. The poor man has nowhere else to go since the divorce. The least you can do is help with expenses. I stared at the invoice, complete with an official letterhead my father had apparently created. Barrett Family Properties. They'd turned harboring my ex-husband into a business venture. 3 months. Marcus had been living in their basement for 3 months, and they'd only now decided to bill me for it. I called my mother back. This is insane. We divorced 18 months ago. And whose fault was that, Nicole? You gave up on a perfectly good man. Perfectly good. I almost laughed. They had no idea why we'd divorced. No idea about the gambling debts that had drained our savings. No idea about the fraudulent credit cards he'd opened in my name. No idea about the FBI investigation that had started just before I filed for divorce. I'm not paying his rent, Mom. Then we'll have to evict him. In this economy? With his anxiety issues. How could you be so heartless? His anxiety issues. Marcus had always been good at playing the victim, especially with my parents. They'd loved him from day one, the charming financial advisor who brought flowers and always complimented my mother's cooking. They never saw the man who'd forged my signature on loan documents or sold my grandmother's jewelry while I was at work. Evict him then, I said. Nicole Marie Barrett. He was your husband for 5 years. That means something. It meant something when he stole $40,000 from me. Where was your concern then? He explained that. It was a misunderstanding with investments. These things happen in marriage. A misunderstanding. That's what Marcus had told them, and they'd believed him over their own daughter. I hung up and immediately called my lawyer, Denise Huang, who'd handled my divorce. They want you to pay rent for your ex-husband. She sounded incredulous. The same ex-husband who's under federal investigation for wire fraud. They don't know about the investigation. Maybe it's time they did. It's more complicated than that. I pulled up my laptop, navigating to a folder I'd labeled insurance. Marcus has been posting on social media from their house. Pictures of packages being delivered. Lots of packages. Different names on them. You think he's running something from their basement. I know he is. I've been monitoring it. Nicole, if you have evidence of criminal activity. I've already reported it to Agent Torres. She's the one who told me to document everything but not interfere. There was silence on the line. Then, your parents are harboring a federal suspect. Unknowingly. But yes. And now they want you to finance it. Apparently. Send me everything. The invoice, the social media posts, all of it. After we hung up, I went deeper into my monitoring. Marcus wasn't subtle. He never had been. His Instagram showed boxes stacked in the basement, labeled with shipping codes. His LinkedIn, which he'd forgotten I could still see through a mutual connection, listed him as CEO of Mr. Consulting Services, registered to my parents' address. The packages had different names: Michael Roberts, Mark Richardson, Mason Riley. All variations of his initials. Classic Marcus, clever enough to commit fraud, too arrogant to hide it properly. My phone rang. Dad, this time. Your mother's upset. She sent me an invoice for my ex-husband's rent. He's struggling, Nicole. The divorce wiped him out. The divorce wiped him out. He stole my identity, Dad. He opened 12 credit cards in my name. He says you agreed to those. And you believe him over me. Silence. Then, he's very convincing. That was the problem. Marcus was always convincing. It's what made him a good financial advisor and an excellent con artist. The combination had fooled dozens of clients before the FBI caught on. Dad, I need you to listen very carefully. Marcus is using your address for a business. Has he received packages? Some. Office supplies, he said. What names were on them? I don't know. Different variations of his name, I think. For different aspects of his business. My stomach dropped. They were deeper into this than I'd thought. Dad, you need to ask him to leave. Today. We can't just throw him out. Yes, you can. Trust me. Do it today. Nicole, what aren't you telling me? Before I could answer, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw Agent Sarah Torres, the FBI agent who'd been investigating Marcus. I have to go, I told my father. Please, just trust me this once. I opened the door. Ms. Barrett, Agent Torres said. We need to talk about your ex-husband's current residence. She sat at my kitchen table, declining coffee, her expression serious. We're moving on Marcus tomorrow. We have warrants for his arrest and to search the premises where he's been operating. My parents' house. Your parents' house. We've been building this case for 2 years. He's been running a sophisticated credit fraud operation, using their address as his base. They don't know. That's what we're hoping. But Nicole, if they've been receiving packages, if they've allowed him to use their address for business registration, they could be considered accomplices. My blood went cold. They are just naive. He manipulated them. Can you prove that? I pulled out my phone, scrolling to the recorded conversations I'd been saving. My mother calling Marcus a perfect gentleman who made some mistakes. My father saying Marcus was too nice to be a criminal. Their genuine shock when I'd tried to explain the divorce. They are victims too, I said. He convinced them I was the bad guy. Agent Torres reviewed the recordings, taking notes. These help, but we'll still need to search the property. And if your parents resist, they won't. I'll make sure of it. You can't warn them, Nicole. That would be obstruction. I won't warn them about the raid, but I can convince them to evict him tonight. She studied me. You have until 6 a.m. tomorrow. If he's not there when we arrive, it's better for everyone. After she left, I called my parents again, this time on a 3-way call. I just got a visit from the FBI, I said without preamble. My mother gasped. What? Why? Because Marcus is under federal investigation. Has been since before our divorce. Wire fraud, identity theft, mail fraud. The packages he's been receiving? They are fraudulent credit cards and stolen merchandise. That's impossible, my father said, but his voice wavered. Check your basement right now. Look at the packages. I heard footsteps, a door opening, my father's sharp intake of breath. There are dozens of them. All different names. All variations of Marcus Reed. He's been using your address to run a criminal enterprise. The FBI raids tomorrow at dawn. My mother started crying. We didn't know. Nicole, we didn't know. I know you didn't. That's why you need to get him out tonight. Call the police if necessary. Say he's trespassing. But get him out. But where will he go? My mother asked, still reflexively protective. That's not your problem anymore. There was a long pause. Then my father, we'll handle it. They called me at midnight. Marcus was gone, along with his packages. They'd told him to leave immediately or they'd call the police. He'd tried to charm them, then threatened to sue, then finally left when my father, mild-mannered, non-confrontational father, had started dialing 911. The FBI raided at 6 a.m., finding only the empty basement and my terrified parents. Agent Torres called me at noon. He's in custody. Picked him up at a motel trying to destroy evidence. Your parents are clear. We can see they were manipulated. Thank you. There's more. We found records showing he was planning to take out loans using their house as collateral. Another few weeks and your parents could have lost everything. I drove to my parents' house that afternoon. They looked older, shaken, sitting at their kitchen table surrounded by FBI business cards and paperwork. We're sorry, my mother said immediately. We should have believed you. He was so convincing, my father added. He had answers for everything. Made you sound like the vindictive ex-wife. That was his specialty, I said. Making his victims look like the aggressors. My mother pulled out the invoice she'd sent me, tore it in half. I can't believe we tried to make you pay for harboring a criminal. You didn't know he was a criminal. No, but we knew he was your ex-husband. That should have been enough. She reached for my hand. You tried to tell us during the divorce. We didn't listen. He's good at what he does, I said. That's why the FBI took 2 years to build their case. My father cleared his throat. The agent said he was planning to steal our house. He was. You'd have been homeless within 6 months. They exchanged looks, the reality of their near-disaster sinking in. How do we make this right? My mother asked. You start by believing me when I tell you someone is dangerous. You start by choosing your daughter over charm and manipulation. We choose you, my father said firmly. Always you, from now on. Marcus was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. During the trial, it came out that he'd defrauded dozens of people, including 3 other ex-girlfriends whose families he'd also manipulated into housing him while he ran his schemes. My parents attended every day of the trial, watching the evidence mount, seeing the pattern of manipulation laid bare. When it was over, my mother said, "I don't know how you survived 5 years married to that monster." "I almost didn't," I admitted. "But I got out, and I tried to protect you, even when you wouldn't protect me." They've spent the last year rebuilding my trust, one day at a time. The basement apartment they'd rented to Marcus has been converted into a home office for my father's retirement hobby, woodworking. Every time I visit, he shows me something new he's made, a bookshelf, a jewelry box, a picture frame. "Building things helps," he told me once. "After all the destruction Marcus caused, I need to create something solid." The invoice they'd sent me is framed in my apartment now, both halves, taped together. A reminder that even parents can be fooled, that family bonds can be exploited, and that sometimes the person warning you about danger is the one you should have believed all along. But mostly, it's a reminder that I was strong enough to protect them even when they'd failed to protect me. That's what family really means, not enabling someone's crimes because they are charming, but standing guard against those who would exploit your trust. Even when that means standing alone until the FBI knocks on the door.